What's up, everybody? It's your boy, Lot. Yep, Lot. Like, he's handsome a lot. He's good looking a lot. He's rich a lot. Uh, People like him a lot. Yeah, it's me. It's Lot. So, you may have heard me introduced in another episode where we were talking about Abraham and Isaac, and it's true. I grew up actually with my uncle Abraham. He was just like a dad to me, and I was just like a son to him. And then they got the promise about Isaac, and then they told me bye-bye. And well, the Lord wanted me to go somewhere else, and so that Abraham could have his thing, and I got over it. I got over it. I'm still working on it. But Abraham brought me out to this land, and he stretched his arm out and he said, "Look, son." He said, "Look, Lot." He said, "You choose wherever you want to go in the land." And he says, "Wherever you go," he said, "I'll go the opposite way." He said, "If you choose the left, I'll go to the right. If you choose the right, I'll go to the left." And so I was dealing with some rejection, and I kind of puffed my chest out and I looked out across the land, and you know what I saw? I saw the Canaan land. I saw the promised land, but off to the other way, I saw these rolling hills. I saw the beautiful rivers that ran through the land. I saw these plains that I could tell they were going to be crop fields, and they were going to be prosperous. And we could plant sweet potatoes, and we could plant corn, and we could plant watermelon, and we could plant black-eyed peas, and we could grow cornbread there. My God! And so I chose that land, and that's called the well-watered plains of Jordan. I and my family, we struck off on our journey. We said goodbye to Uncle Abraham, and I said goodbye to Aunt Sarah, and I decided I'm going to be my own man. I'm going to make my own life. I'm going to do what I want to do for once. I'm not going to do what Uncle Abraham wants. I'm going to do what I want to do for once. And me and my family, we packed everything up and we moved, and we were camping out in these well-watered plains, but I saw again off in the distance. You see, I was always looking for something better than what I currently had. I looked off in the distance and I saw this city. And I mean, people, this city looked like Disney World. It was amazing. I mean, people were having fun, and there were parties going on, and I could hear the music booming, and I just knew from way off in the distance, I could tell this was the place to be, and that city was called Sodom. Well, I thought about it for a long time. Uncle Abraham warned me, and I had heard for years about how the rumors went about that Sodom was no good, that there was great sin that went on in that city. But I just kept looking. So after talking about it with my wife, one day we set out on a journey. We left our tent behind, and we just wanted to see what Sodom was really like. We had heard the rumors. We had heard how dangerous and how sinful and how nasty and filthy the city was. But we figured we'd give it the benefit of the doubt. Maybe it's not so bad. We took off and we made our way into the city. And folks, it was amazing. I mean, man, all of the people were good looking, and they were having parties, and everybody seemed like they were wealthy, and I mean, everybody seemed so happy and laughing and cutting up and making dirty jokes and all the things that I couldn't do with Uncle Abraham. But what I finally realized is that, wait a second, they're happy because there are no rules, and they're happy because they're taking advantage of other people, and they're rich because they're stealing money, and they're laughing because they're cussing, and they're doing all these things that I know is not right. I knew there was something in me that said, no, this is not what you've been taught. This is not right. But I looked over at my wife, and she was so happy. And I remembered the warnings, Sodom is no good, and God is not happy with Sodom, and the Lord doesn't like what's going on there. But whenever I saw the smile on my wife's face, we decided to buy a house there, and we were going to settle there. And I decided that even though I was living in Sodom, Sodom was never going to live in me. We're going to be just fine. And so we decided to stay.
8:01 p.m.
I was taking a nap under an old oak tree, and I saw 3 angels come, and I said, "If I found favor in your sight, stay with me and I'll fix you food to eat." And they said, "Yes, go do so." So I went to my wife and told her to bake me some cake. And I went to my herdsman and I picked a good calf, and I gave it to the young man to dress it. And I offered it to them, and they ate. And after that, they said, "God saw the wickedness of Sodom and Gomorrah, and he's going to destroy that city." And when they were going, all I can think about is my precious nephew Lot. What is going to happen to him? And I started to intercede. I started to pray that he would be saved.
12 o'clock midnight.
So we had lived in Sodom for a while, and if you're gonna be in Sodom, live as the Sodomites do. And I'll admit I kind of backed off of some of the things that Uncle Abraham taught me, and I decided I was gonna do whatever I needed to blend in. Well, I became a popular guy around there. People liked my style. They called me Ranch because I was dressing, and they liked the way that I walked, and they could tell I was a woman's man. No time to talk, and I gained popularity among the people, and eventually they made me the gatekeeper. I camped out at the gate, and folks, what I need you to know is that's an important spot. That's like the mayor of Sodom. Okay, I watched and welcomed people as they came in. And one day, these 2 bad-looking dudes, they were scary. They walked up and they had all these muscles, and they had all these scary-looking, weapons, and I didn't want to mess with them. And I said, "Hey, whoever you are not from here." I said, "Why don't y'all come to my house?" Okay, I said, I'll cook for you. I'll do all of that. And they introduced themselves. I knew at once they were angels. And they said, "No," they said, "we didn't come here to hang out." They said, "We have come with a special assignment." And I said, "Oh, great. That's awesome. What are you here to do?" And they said, "We are here to destroy this city." I said, "Destroy my city? Sodom, that I love so much?" They said, "The cry of Sodom is great. The Lord has heard about what has happened here in Sodom. He's not happy." And they said, we're here, and we're going to tear up this city. And I didn't know what they were going to do, so I begged them. I said, please come into my home." And that was the moment I realized, and I found out that my home had become so much like Sodom that the angels weren't even comfortable at my house. They said, "No, we're not going to go to your house." They said we're going to be in the streets all night. And they said, "We're going to walk through the streets, and they're going to destroy the city." But even though I was living like I knew I shouldn't, even though I had walked away from some of Uncle Abraham's teaching, these angels also told me, "But we're also here to warn you." They said, "We're here to reach you, because your Uncle Abraham has been praying. Your uncle has been praying to God for you." And so the angel, right at the last moment, right before the destruction came, the angel took us by the hand. He said, Lot, he said, go to your family. He said, and warn them of the destruction that's going to come. And I rushed to my family. I rushed to my cousins and you know, my old servants and the people that I grew up with and the people I went to school with. And I rushed to them and I told them what the angel said. God said he's going to destroy the city. God said that we got to get out of here because it's going to turn into fire. I don't know what all is going to happen, but I know it's not good. And I had been living so much like the rest of Sodom that my family, my cousins, my friends, the people that I grew up with, when I tried to warn them, they laughed at me. They thought that I was just joking with them. And they went back to doing exactly what they were doing before. I came back to my family. I said, I grabbed my wife, my 2 daughters, and I said, look, we got to get out of here. The angel grabbed us and he said, yeah, we got to get out of here. And the angel began taking us out of the city. And the last thing I remember him saying, he told me and my wife and my 2 daughters, he said, whatever you do, take off running and don't look back.
Tell them what you got to tell them, rookie.
Yes, sir, Captain, sir. All right. Hey, everybody. It's me, Tactical Angel. And we were at headquarters. It's my first day on the job. And I get a message from the big guy himself. You know, the big guy himself. It's my first day. I was so excited. And he said, hey, listen, guys. There's a fella. His name is Abe. And he's praying for his family. And you have to go down there and help them in the city of Sodom and save them. And we were like, okay. So I looked at my captain and he was like, let's do what tactical angels do best. And we suited up and we headed out into the field. So we catch up with this family and they're just running and huffing and puffing. And we were like, whoa, everybody. They looked at us, we looked at them, and we said, hey, hold on. We got a message from the big guy himself just for you. And I was like, can I tell him, Captain? Can I tell him? And he was like,
Go ahead, rookie.
and so I was like, look, Mr. Lot, the big guy himself has got a message just for you. And it's this, listen up. This one thing I do, forgetting what lies behind and reaching forward to what lies ahead. Philippians 3:13. He looked at me, I looked at him, I looked at his family, and I was like, yo, Captain, can I tell him again? Can I tell him again? And he was like,
Yeah, go ahead, rookie.
so I was like, Mr. Lot, repeat after me. This one thing I do, forgetting what lies behind and reaching forward to what lies ahead. Philippians 3:13. All right, he got the message. Did you get the message? Let's try it one more time together. This one thing I do.
This one thing I do.
Whoa, he speaks. Forgetting what lies behind
Forgetting what lies behind
and reaching forward to what lies ahead.
and reaching forward to what lies ahead.
Philippians 3:13.
Philippians 3:13.
Oh, so anywho, make sure you tell everyone that you know that verse because it's a special verse that God had just for Lot himself, and I believe he's trying to tell that to you too, especially in this hour. So, anywho, we told him, we were like, hey, Mr. Lot and your family, run for the mountains, but don't look back. That's the message from the big guy himself.
We're getting a call. We gotta go,
Come,
Ricky.
we're getting a message.
See you later.
We're getting a message. Woo!
I decided that I was going to obey what those angels told me to do. And I took off running, ran for my life, didn't grab no shoes or nothing, Jesus, and I headed towards the mountain. I was going to do just what they said. And as happy as I was to be safe and know that my family is safe and we made it, and thank God for Uncle Abraham's prayers, my happiness suddenly came to an end whenever I turned just barely to look to my right because I didn't want to look back. And I saw my wife that I loved with all of my heart. You see, Sodom had its hooks in her. And as she was running out of that city, she did what those angels told us not to do. She looked backwards. She just could not stand to leave and not see what was happening to Sodom. And I watched as she slowly, from her head to her feet, she was in the running stance and she turned into a statue made of salt. I didn't know what to do. I had to decide. Do I leave her here? I tried to pick her up. She's too heavy for me to move. And there she was. I had to go. And I left her there, stuck, forever, looking backwards. Kids, this is what we're here to teach you today. I had to decide in that moment whether I was going to stay and die like she did, or do like that verse that we learned today. Forget those things which are behind and reach towards that which is forward. I made up in my mind that just because other people were being destroyed, it didn't mean that I had to be destroyed too. I can only speak for my soul, and it was time for me to take my way of escape and get out of there. Number 2, whenever I went to that place that I didn't think was going to affect me, and I didn't think that I would be in Sodom and Sodom not get in me, it happened. It happened. That proves to me that you begin to act like the people that you hang around. Your friends will make a difference. And even though I thought that I could stay just like Uncle Abraham taught me, I didn't. I became just like all the other people in Sodom. And if I didn't have a praying uncle, I would have burned up just like everybody else. The last thing I want to leave with you is this. Take a lesson from my wife. Did you know that in the New Testament, Jesus even brings up my wife, and he tells all of his listeners, remember Lot's wife? I say the same thing to you. Remember what happened to my wife. Remember that whenever you are headed out of destruction, whenever you're headed towards heaven, you're headed towards deliverance, you're headed out of sin, if you turn back, you'll get stuck that way. And I don't want to see that happen to you. Don't look back. There's nothing for you there. Let's be thankful for what God has delivered us from and continue pressing towards Him and towards heaven. Let's pray. Lord, I pray that you would speak to every family, speak to every child right now. We've tried to make it plain. We've tried to make it easy to understand, but I pray this gets past their heads, past their minds, and let this get into their hearts. We need a determination within our hearts that I'm not going to look back. I'm not going back to the things that I have left behind. I'm not returning to the sins that God has already delivered me from. Lord, help us, oh God, to be just like me, just like Lot. And no matter who else has decided to stay behind, I'm still going to press forward. And say it with me, kids. In Jesus' name, amen. We'll see you next time for another amazing lesson of Kingdom Kids.